Our final speaker is Dez Dell. Dez, if you'd like to.
Thank you, councillors and officers. I get the feeling that this is very much business as usual looking at the draft blueprint. I looked through this document and I'm surprised to see very little acknowledgement or mention of climate change. I spotted the words climate change in the place section on the West portfolio, and then I see climate lumped in with highways, transport and the environment in the North regulatory portfolio. Can you explain these headings and how climate change will be addressed through the Northants Unitary? As for mentions of climate change in the text, both of those are in the transformation sections, which from the overview of unitary business imperatives make them sound very much like aspirations on a wish list. On page 19 in the transformation section of public health, I quote, "Public health transformation gives greater opportunity through place-based working to integrate health and wellbeing services across the unitary functions and align with growth strategy and our climate change ambitions." I would love to know what those ambitions are. On page 22, the transformation section of economy, infrastructure and growth, I quote, "A resource efficient and connected area will be a better, healthier place to live, more competitive and better place to ride out future economic and climate shocks." I'm glad to see the reality of the climate crisis is being acknowledged with the phrase climate shocks, but I question how shocking this should be, bearing in mind scientists have known that we have been doing to the climate for over 30 years. It is a failure of short-term political thinking that means we're in a situation where protests are held in the street and children and young people felt the need to raise the alarm. These are the only two mentions of climate change in the document, bearing in mind that climate emergency has been declared not only by Kettering and Corby Borough Councils, but by Northants County Council and indeed the UK government, although the urgency obvious in the word emergency doesn't appear to have had much effect. Perhaps more heat waves like those experienced this summer, or indeed the flooding experienced in Wellingborough and across the north of the county, will bring home the urgency for the Northants Unitary, although I'd hope it doesn't need to come to that. A key finding of the recently concluded UK Government Citizens Assembly on Climate Change was for improved information and education for all on climate change. So please start telling the residents the facts about the climate emergency and how it will affect them. And although I'm not permitted to speak on the later motion due to a rule in the Constitution that I believe needs amending, I want to express my wholehearted support for the climate emergency motion proposed by Councillor Dutton. I look forward to seeing North Northants Shadow Authority declare a climate emergency. And I would urge the formation of a climate committee and citizens assembly to inform the decisions of the new unitary with regard to the climate crisis. So please can you answer how climate change will be addressed through the North Northants Unitary, and what are those climate change ambitions mentioned in the text? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution.